Hello and welcome to a very interesting edition of the Immigrant Magazine Weekly. I'm Pamela Anchang. I've sometimes shared that I am a princess. Yes, I am a princess from Africa, from Cameroon, and particularly from the village called Pinyin, which is somewhere in the Northwest province. My guest today is also a princess, and I can't wait to share what that experience has been for her. Why? Because she was born in the United States and later found out that she was a princess. From where? Sierra Leone. So, without further ado, I don't want to say much. I want to bring to the show Princess Sarah Culberson. She has a lot to say about her experience going back to Africa, which is something that we encourage a lot of people born here, African Americans and others in the diaspora. But before I bring her to the show, please do me the honors of subscribing right now by clicking on the subscribe button here below. If you haven't done so, clicking the like button so that YouTube will share our videos. And of course, ring the notification bell so that you will be notified when this content is released. And don't forget to like us on Facebook at the Immigrant Magazine and follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Pam and Chan. It should be a really exciting show with Princess Sarah. Let's welcome her to the show. Welcome to you, Princess Sarah, to our show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here with you.
I just told our audience, I said, it's funny because I'm also a princess. And it's just so good to see someone that's wearing it so proudly. Thank you for making this experience just so inspiring for me.
You're welcome. And when we spoke about a week ago and you mentioned that, I thought there are so many amazing princesses on the continent that people don't know about. So when you told me that, I was like, yes, I was so excited. I was like, yes, queen, I love it. So I'm really excited.
I really love that you wear it so proudly, because how we celebrate the Queen of England, the prince, the royal family from Belgium to France to Holland, wherever in the West, right? But we don't seem to take our own heritage seriously. I'm one of those, because we were just raised we just struggle basically a lot of the time back home, and we have embraced sometimes a Western tradition and sometimes fail to honor our own. Do you get that sense? Have you met any other princesses from Africa and just wondered, why aren't you owning that?
Yes, I have. So when you said that to me before, I thought, wow, maybe other women will start owning and wearing their princess and kings and queen hats that they have that are a part of who we are. I mean, it's like we're mothers, we're partners, we're all different things, but also owning that part of ourselves, which I think is really powerful.
How have you been embraced as the princess that you are here in the West?
That's a great question. People want to know. They want to understand more. They want to know about my family's chiefdom. They want to know how it works. We have a chiefdom of 70,000, and we've been doing work in the country for years. My uncle's the new president of the country. So our family also works with a lot of other chiefdoms, also other tribes. And we also, of course, work directly with our uncle, who's the president. So there's a lot of work that goes on. But people want to understand, how does that work? And I do have to say, the interest is really wonderful, because I love sharing about this, because I learned as well, growing up in the United States, going back and meeting my birth family and the whole tribe. And for a long time, I didn't want to embrace this princess conversation, because I thought, oh, that means that people will think that you think you're better than them, or that means this, or they think that. And we only have kind of the Disney world of princesses, right? And I thought, no, wait a second. So I didn't for years even mention it. And then I had someone talk to me and say, little girls can actually see that we come from princesses and queens, little girls of color, little Black girls, little biracial, however kids identify, can also, or even if they're not, little white girls could also go, oh, wow, there are African princesses that exist. So what I realized is when I didn't claim my heritage and kind of pushed it away, worried about what people might think, I wasn't honoring who I am. I wasn't honoring who my family is. And I also wasn't honoring what could be possible for little kids. And that is why I said, okay, I'm taking this on. Yes, I am Princess Sarah Culberson. This is who I am. And it's bigger than who I am. It's for these kids.
You know what, Princess Sarah, you have just given me a light bulb moment. It's a service not to own who we are, because we talk about representation in so many aspects of our lives, race and all whatnot, and women and LGBTQ and all of this, right? And just thinking about the impact that your heritage and embracing who you are could do or has done for young white girls, little Black girls, and even just a curiosity, and now people getting to know where you're from, where your heritage is from, all of that. It's amazing. I need to think, and everybody needs to rethink, because we are raised to be humble, sort of. Sometimes you feel like if you say it, then you're being arrogant.
Yes, that's why I didn't say it. That's why I was like, oh no, I can't tell anybody that. Exactly.
That's amazing. So now tell us about how you found out about this heritage. Where you're from.
Yes. So I grew up in Morgantown, West Virginia. I was adopted into this amazing all-white family, my parents who adopted me, Jim and Judy Culberson. And my dad, I just have to share, is an amazing neuroanatomist at the medical school at West Virginia University. My mom taught children with learning differences. Growing up in this amazing family. And as I got older, I wanted to know about my roots, my biological family. Who do I look like? Medical history. I had all these questions I wanted to get answered and didn't know where to begin. And I did this amazing class called Landmark Worldwide. And I was sitting in the class and they said, tell the person sitting next to you where you're holding back in life. And I was sitting next to my friend Art. And I said, Art, I know that my birth mother passed away of cancer. She was a white American when I was about 11. And I never got to meet her, but I got to meet some of her family and see pictures of her and hear stories, which was wonderful. And I also want to know about my birth father, but I'm so afraid of being rejected. What if he doesn't want to meet me? You know, I just had all these questions and fears. He said, listen, I know a private investigator who won't charge you more than $100. Your birth father's going to love you. Call the private investigator. I said, okay, I'm going to do this. And within like 3 hours, I got all the information I needed for $25, not thousands like I thought it would be, and wrote a letter when we used to write letters. This is 2004. 4 days later, I got a phone call. And there was this woman on the other line. She said, hello, Sarah. This is Evelyn. How are you? And I thought, is this that Jamaican woman I met the other day? Because I couldn't get the dialect. I wasn't expecting to hear from anyone so soon. She said, I'm your auntie. We received your letter. And I started to bawl. I said, thank you so much for calling. I didn't know if I would ever hear from you. I didn't know if I would ever see you. And she said, I was there when you were born. I used to take care of you when your mother would go to the grocery store. She said, hold on, let me get your uncle on the phone. And then my uncle gets on the phone. He goes, oh, Sarah, we are so happy you've been found. Do you know who you are? And I said, I'm Sarah. He says, you are part of a royal family. Your great-grandfather was a Paramount Chief. Your grandfather, you can be chief someday. You are a princess in this country. I know you were going to say something. I wanted to pause.
No, I'm just...
No? Oh, you're just with me. I love it. Yes.
Go for it.
Yeah. And so I just had this moment of princess. What does that mean? And then the fear came up. Well, do I have to wear dresses all the time? I can never now say a bad word. What does that mean, right? And really just learning from my family. They said, we're going to contact family members who live here in the United States. We're going to also get a hold of your father. So they had to get a message from village to village to village, because in 2004, very few people had cell phones in Sierra Leone. And so 2 weeks went by while they were getting message to village. And it felt like the longest 2 weeks of my life. I have to say, I was so nervous. And does he want to talk to me? And all the fear coming up and just standing in, okay, I got to be okay and have courage no matter what. And during those 2 weeks, I started getting phone calls from all of these different African family members who live in the United States. Hello, Sarah. I am your Uncle Ali, your father's favorite uncle. Hello, Sarah. I'm your Auntie Janet. They used to call your father and me twins when we were little. Hello, Sarah. Hello, Sarah. Hello, Sarah. All of these family members are welcoming me to the family. When I had told myself they're not going to want to meet me, they're not going to want to talk to me, and it was just this beautiful homecoming. And then after the 2 weeks went by, my birth father called and I heard his voice for the first time. And the first thing he said to me is he said, Sarah, please forgive me. I did not know how to find you after you've been placed in adoption. And he said, your mother and I loved you. We wanted to give you to a family who could really take care of you. And I was young, I was in college, and she told me she was pregnant and I didn't know. I said, listen. He said, we wanted to take care of you and give you to somebody who could take care of you the way you needed to be. And I said, you gave me the best family in the world. Wow. And if a day that goes by that you feel guilty, please don't. And I said, and I want to meet you. How do we do this? And he said, it's challenging for me to get a visa to come to the United States. Could you come here? I said, I would love to.
Oh my gosh, Sarah, just pause on that for me. Your story is so riveting. Well, number one, the African family, we are big because every aunt, every uncle, every cousin, extended family, we are one. So how did that make you feel before we get to when you got to Sierra Leone? How did that make you feel?
It was beautiful. It was exactly the opposite of what I thought could happen, because I was so worried about also messing up a family. Like, maybe they don't know about me. I don't want to go, hi, I'm here. And everyone's like, wait, who is this? You never talk. But it wasn't. And that's what I've also learned about African culture. It's like, oh, you are now my brother. You don't even have to be related and you become family. So it's like, what was I worried about? It was silly.
You know what's silly in our culture sometimes is, like if you came to my home, my kids will call you Aunt Sarah.
Yes.
We have that, right? Everybody's
auntie, uncles.
Yeah, everybody's auntie, it's a way of respect. And then now what happens is I have children that were born here. I've introduced them to everybody and says aunt and uncle. And then now my kids are at an age where I want them to get married, right? So I'm thinking, look at a friend, I'm thinking, maybe her daughter will be good for my son. But then I already told them they're aunts, they're cousins. How do I undo that? It becomes a challenge. We have that in our community. We talk about that. We're like, we need to get our kids to know each other. But then you state like, well, that's auntie so-and-so's kid. I'm like, no, we're not.
Like family. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so true.
We have that. So tell me about, you decide now to go to Sierra Leone and what that was and how that has transformed your life.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Completely transformed my life. Just having a moment of thinking about it. I went to Sierra Leone and flew there with a lot of the African family members and friends from the community in Sierra Leone. Actually, it was like Sierra Leone. It's like a mini Sierra Leone in Maryland. So many people, Nigerians, everyone all there together. And we flew to Sierra Leone with my uncles and everyone. And I got off the airplane and saw my birth father for the first time. And it was so special. And seeing his face, I was so nervous and scared. And he was so nervous. And when we locked eyes, it's as if his eyes were saying, please like me, please accept me. Like they were talking. And I just went up in that moment and gave him a big hug because I could see his nervousness and it kind of made my nervousness go away. And I said, it's so good to finally meet you. And he said, it's so good to finally meet you too. And my Aunt Amy took my hand and she said, turn around, girl, let me look at you. Let me look at you. So I turned around and she gave me a big hug. And we took a ferry from Lunge to Freetown, the capital of Sierra Leone, which was originally named Freetown because it's where Africans who were enslaved were returned. Yeah. That's called Freetown, which is a beautiful place to be. And the next morning, we stayed in a small hotel. And the next morning, there was a knock at the door. And I went to the door and my father said, Sarah, I would love for you to wear this green African dress into our family's village. So I put on the green dress and I said, okay. And he had a matching green shirt and this beautiful African print. And I thought, okay, we're going to be twins. So, so here we go, riding on the bumpy roads, African roads. It's just like, woo-wee, especially after the rainy season. It was just potholes for days. But beautiful, this mahogany red dirt roads, beautiful bushy green trees. It was just spectacular. And we drove 6 hours to get to Bumpé the next day, my family's village. And when I arrived, there was a little boy wearing all white. And he ran up close to the car, and then he ran up ahead of us. I thought, oh, I wonder what he's doing. Little did I know he was cueing everyone to say that we were arriving. Oh. And there were hundreds of people singing and dancing, welcoming me into my family's village. And then everyone parted, and all the women of the village came forward wearing the same green dress that I had been given that morning. And they were singing.
That is the real return.
It was just, and they were singing "Put tang tang tang, put tang tang tang," and my voice is so hoarse this morning, so I don't want to ruin it. But they went "Pada do adu way puda Sarah go to." They were singing in Mende, my family's language. We're preparing for Sarah. I was pinching myself because I didn't feel like this was real. I was overwhelmed. I growing up, no one told me this, but this is what I did. I was the basketball star, homecoming queen, full scholarship to college. I was an overachiever to fit in, to look good, whatever the reasons were. And then I get to Sierra Leone and I just show up. I didn't win the basketball game. I wasn't the homecoming queen. And that was enough. And it was just spectacular. It was.
You were the homecoming princess. Let me ask you real quickly. Now, you leave the United States with all this affluence and the good roads and the beautiful homes and everything, and you go to where your DNA, where your blood is from.
Yeah.
It's quite a contrast.
It is.
Were you thinking, how did that make you feel? Like, did it matter to you that there was dust, potholes and everything? How did that feel?
No, it did. Honestly, it didn't. There's so many things going on in my head. First of all, I was so taken by being with family, and the spirit of community is so powerful that it just kind of superseded everything.
Any material thing.
Yeah, and to be honest, to share about that, I know I'm jumping ahead, but I just want to share something that a student told me about Sierra Leone that was not told me, presented to a group of parents. She said, I took a group of students later. I know I'm jumping, but I want to answer your question because I did have moments of feeling guilty about what I had in Sierra Leone or in America, versus like clean drinking water all the time, which is a huge thing that we're working on in Sierra Leone. Going to just turn on having hot water and so on. And also seeing our huge family home that had been destroyed during the Blood Diamond War. There was this, there were a lot of things going on for me. Guilt, frustration, love, community. There was just a lot of juxtaposing feelings. However, when I just jump ahead for a moment, then we can go back, is that years later, I took my parents, which I'd love to talk about, but I also after that, I took a group of high school students. And these high school students were from America, from an independent private school. They lived in a very safe, very, well-to-do, some might say, neighborhoods in LA. And they had an amazing time, and they came back and a group of them presented to parents. And they said, we break our iPhones at parties to get the new iPhone this, to get the new iPhone that. They said, kids in Sierra Leone get excited to get an empty water bottle because they can go to the pump and fill it up. It can be used as a toy. One student said, we have all of these things and it's never enough. She said, they don't have half of these material things and everyone is happy. It's community. There's jubilation. There's love. She said, what's going on with us? And that was a high school student. And she also said, I feel safer in this village than I ever have in Los Angeles. And she lived in she said, I can walk with children for miles and everyone's hello, hello. It's just like the children are running. This is a village. She goes, when I was a kid, I didn't walk down the street by myself. That wasn't safe. So there are things that we might see like there are potholes and so on, and not having hot drink or hot water or running water for showers all the time. But there's also so many things that are there that we don't have, that are so that you can't create. They're learned, they're taught, they're just part of the culture, which are so enriching that I feel like just go above and beyond all those other material things.
Yes. You know, that is so compelling what you said, because like perspective is everything. Perspective is everything. And I want to ask you, I know you saw what was going on, and some have argued that we in the diaspora, Africans and African people of African descent in the diaspora, we can make a difference back home. And I know you're doing just that. Tell us about now finding out all those things and what you decided to do, because I really want our audience to know what you're doing.
Sure, thank you for asking. We have our nonprofit called Sierra Leone Rising, and we're originally named the Pessoa Foundation. So we're still operating as a Pessoa Foundation, but we had to shift the name because no one could spell it. So we're unfortunately the K is silent, Pessoa. So we're called Sierra Leone Rising, and we're doing work in public health, education, technology, and female empowerment. And what we started doing, and as I mentioned, we took my parents, I took my parents who adopted me to Sierra Leone, and it's like West Virginia and West Africa came together, and we all started working together. And really it has been a grassroots organization, and actually having companies give donations, but also and contributions, but also family and friends really making a difference. And we started to sit down with the community and find out what's happening, what can we learn from each other? Not let's go in and save, no. How can we work together? And conversations were about girls dropping out of school due to their menstrual cycle, not having access to pads, tampons. Those are mainly pads. So we started to work with Days for Girls and the Pad Project, and to not ship in pads, but the girls have learned how to make these washable, reusable pads that they can snap into their underwear. And it's been wonderful and made a huge difference for the girls and in the community. And keeping girls in school. Another thing we really took on were our wells. A lot of people in the provinces, the city's different, but the provinces don't have access to clean drinking water. And we were there, and we had a clear water bottle. There was this much water left in our water bottle. And a woman said, "Can I have the rest of your water?" This elderly woman. And of course we gave her our water bottle. But in that moment, we had dug 9 wells that are serving 12,000 people with clean drinking water, but that was not enough. And in that moment we said, okay, we've got to start working on clean drinking water. And my brother and I said, okay, we're not going to just work on clean drinking water in our family's chiefdom. We're going to work on taking on clean drinking water for the entire country. Wow. And there are around, there are different numbers, about 8.9 million people in Sierra Leone. The numbers kind of shift a bit. But I was talking to a new friend who's from China. And I thought, I don't know how we're going to do this water. And he goes, wow, there are 20 million people in my hometown. And then I went, oh. It was when you talk about perspective, right? It was, a light bulb went off in that moment. And I went, wait, we can do this. We can do this. It takes a village. We're working with World Hope. We've got to get donors. We're working with the people, the community on the ground. We're all doing this together. And I'm like, no, we can do this. In the next 4 to 5 years, we could get clean drinking water for the entire country. And that's our goal. And that's what we're working on.
Wow, you are not a spoiled princess at all.
Well, listen, I feel like we're alive and we're going to pass away. So what are we going to do in this lifetime? And I'm interested in doing things that are going to make a difference. One of the things I always say, if it doesn't make a difference, it's not worth doing, in my mind. So
I'm just curious to know, when you took your parents, your adopted parents, and they are your parents.
Yes, you're my parents.
How did they feel some kind of way, like they lost you, or did they feel like, how did they feel? I'm curious.
That's a really wonderful question. And thank you for asking, because some families get really nervous. We're going to lose our daughter. That's very common. And some parents won't even talk to their kids about birth family. It's so confronting for them. But I told my parents, I said, listen, no one will ever replace you. I love you. You are my hearts. I just want to know more about my history. And they said, listen, we know who we are for you, and we're so excited for you to learn more about who you are. So when they came, my parents have traveled in the world a lot. My dad, being a scientist, we've lived in different countries and so on. So for them to go to Sierra Leone wasn't so obscure or so different. Definitely different from where we grew up. But my mom is a teacher, and she just fell in love with all the children. She brought all these games, arts and crafts, and we did lessons with the kids. We did arts and crafts with the little teeny kids. Oh my gosh, it was so fun. I wanted to take every single one of those children home. They have their own families, but I just fell in love with all of them. And they had such a good time. And my parents have been one of the biggest funding sources and fundraisers for our nonprofit, other than corporations that have donated, but really them with their community. So they just said, this is our family too.
It's amazing.
It's been really, really, I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional, but it's been really, really special.
No, that is
Yeah.
so amazing. And you've danced and acted on stage,
Yes,
performed with urban Latin dance, and you
yes.
done many things, right? But I've also read that you said that this revelation and finding your birth dad is like your single most prized accomplishment. Why?
I had to get over my fear of rejection, a fear of the unknown, to step into something that I didn't know, a culture that I didn't know, a world that I didn't know, and a world that I was afraid I might be rejected by, which was the complete opposite of what I imagined. But it was, I feel like, such a lesson for me to say, oh, I'm going to try something and I might fail. But stepping into it, this whole new world opened up, and I understood privilege in another way. I understood when I think I'm having a bad day, am I really having a bad day? Because I also know people who are walking miles to get to the lake or to the water reservoir to get clean drinking water that they then have to boil to then drink. I mean, come on, I just had this revelation for myself. Like, this is life altering. This is teaching me about life. This is a gift that I would never want to replace. And you couldn't give me all the money in the world. Well, I'd say this, meeting my family, it can't touch all the money in the world, you know?
So awesome, Princess Sarah. Does the Sierra Leonean community in the United States, I know there must be different groups. What do you know about them? And are you working with them?
I know a little bit I was actually at an event yesterday with Africans from the whole diaspora, with Nigerians, people, Senegalese, everyone. We were having a whole amazing conversation about community, about immigration, about a lot of different conversations. And so I'm connected to the community, and I actually can be connected more. I'd like to actually be more connected. So I want to admit that and share that, to put that out there. But being with everyone yesterday and having these conversations together just really lifts my soul. And every time I meet another, especially a West African, they're like, you are my brother, you are my sister. It just becomes immediate family.
Right.
And it's just so special. It's so special.
Well, I have to commend, we have to commend your adopted parents, because they have been the catalyst for you, because you would have been living with a different kind of guilt had they not let you explore this. Yeah. So what can you tell other families that might have a situation where the child is adopted, wants to find out where they're really from, what that means to that child, and what it should mean for the families that's adopted that child?
I would tell them that there's I'm trying to remember his full name, Gibran poem about our children are not ours. They come to us and live through us, but we're here to guide them. And that's a poem that someone gave my mother, my mom, who raised me when they adopted me. And that's one of the things that she's always said to me, that we are here to guide you, but we're not going to get in your way to have you learn who you are. And I think for families, listen, if I adopted a child and the child said, I want to go find my birth family, and I am adopted, I think I go, What if they don't love me anymore? What if they like them better? I mean, it is human. That is natural.
Yes.
I get it. And I would say there are an amazing adoption therapist that you can talk to that I highly recommend, that can actually support you through that journey. I've actually worked with parents and connected them to adoption therapists because the adopted kids have come to me and they said, because I worked with a group of adopted kids at a school and students, and they said, Sarah, my parents are freaking out and I just want to know more about myself. And I said, what if I brought in an adoption therapist and brought all your parents together to just have a conversation? They said, oh my gosh, would you please? I said, you all don't need to be there. They said, great. So I did bring this therapist in, and parents, they're human. I said this to the students, it's your parents are human. They have feelings, they have fears, and I'm going to help them with this therapist. I'm not the conduit of this, but a therapist to support them in their journey. And I say, please, parents, allow yourself to be supported, because it is hard and it makes sense and your feelings are real and your feelings are valid. But when you let your feelings get in the way, it actually inhibits your child from knowing their full self.
Oh my gosh.
And sometimes the information is not always easy. It's tough. Sometimes the information that we find out about birth families is tough.
Yes.
So
yes, that's amazing. You found yours, you embraced it with love. You had a different perspective. Perspective is everything. So
really
do you have siblings on your father's side back home, and your siblings here with your adopted parents?
Yes.
And even your birth mother, right?
Yes.
You still have relationship with the family?
I do. I have a relationship with my birth mother's family, many of them. And I mean, it's kind of a big family. And and also I want to be honest, there's a family member on my mother's side, a sister, who doesn't want to talk to me, and I don't know why. And I've had to kind of like have peace with that, because it's kind of interesting to have the African side do a welcoming and everyone's comes together, and then a family member on my mother's side who doesn't want to meet me. Or I did meet her, but she's kind of kept her distance, and that's okay. Like, that's her stuff, and I've had to let it go. Yeah. But I do have siblings. So my parents who raised me, Lynn and Laura, I have, it's so funny. I have my book sitting right here, A Princess Found. And I'm like, let me do show and tell. But I have my parents, they're black and white photos in this. I should show you the other book. But yeah, I have my sisters who I grew up with. And then I'm going to grab this book. Sorry. I'm going to grab
Her Royal Highness now. Go for it.
And also, this outfit is made by an amazing designer in Sierra Leone. Wonderful. And I'm forgetting her name right now. And I need to share that, but I'll have to get it for you later. But this is my can you see my grandfather?
You can see right there, black and white. Oh,
yes.
Amazing.
Who actually ran our chiefdom in Sierra Leone, and our family's chiefdom. And he was actually knighted Justice of the Peace by the Queen of England for his work in Sierra Leone. And these are my siblings. That's me with my brother and my sister, Jenaba and Hindobe. I don't know if you can see them, okay? And my father and his wife. And they did a memorial service for my birth mother in Sierra Leone, because when I found out she had passed away, the whole community came together wearing all white or black, which is what I've learned people wear when people pass.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And
they did that for you, right? Because for us, that celebration of life, a life that has been taken or that has passed, we always celebrate the dead, kind of like for the children also. It's for you to move on, and that's what to do.
It was so beautiful. I was so touched. And all these people showed up. I don't even know them. They didn't even know my birth mother. I didn't even know my birth mother. But to honor her, I can't, I have no words. It just touched my heart.
How can your story is such a beautiful story, because it has all these layers, right?
Yeah.
How can we support what you're doing in Sierra Leone?
Yeah, thank you for asking.
Sure.
We have our nonprofit, SierraLeoneRising.org. So SIERRA, Leone, LEONE. Rising. So it's rising.org, SierraLeoneRising.org. And people can go on and donate and be part of, we all want to give to something and we don't know sometimes how to do it or what to do, but we have a whole team on the ground. Our operations are completely run by people in Sierra Leone, our team on the ground. Everything's accounted for and it gets straight to the community. So it's really special. And people can go on and see what you'd like to donate toward: water, clean drinking water, sanitary pads, school uniforms for students. There are all kinds of different ways people can give. So
absolutely. I know our listeners are going to do just that. And because your story is so interesting, I'm sure that others that want to read more, we can't talk about everything today. We can refer them to your book, A Princess Found. Please, can you hold it up so they'll see?
Yeah. This is the paperback and this is the hardcover. It has but it's also being turned into a movie by Disney. We sold this book to Disney, the rights to the book, and it's in the next couple of years, we're going to have a new Disney princess, which is very exciting.
Now, besides Cinderella and all whatnot, we're going to have our own authentic, real story.
Yeah. Oh, and that's also part of like embracing the princess conversation, going back to the beginning. Yes. So that, and I'm very clear that is for kids to see.
I love what you're doing, Princess Sarah. I love that you've taken this gift. That's your blood, that's your heritage, and you are transforming all of us. You've taught me so much. I have to go now and really think about some of the decisions that I made.
Listen, it's never too late. That's what I say. It's never too late.
Thank you so much. It's been quite an interesting conversation, and I'm looking forward to having another conversation, especially after the movie's been made.
That sounds great.
I'm going to introduce you to some Sierra Leoneans that I know. Oh my gosh, the food is good.
Oh, the food is so good.
But I know you enjoyed the food.
I love the food. That's what yesterday when I went to that event, I was like, I was eating so much. Yes, I would love to. And I'd love to get together with you soon in person.
Absolutely. Listen, we're glad to have this opportunity and I can't wait. You're not in Los Angeles. I'm in LA.
I am too.
Okay, then let's meet up for coffee or something.
Let's do it.
Okay, you have a wonderful day and
you too.
Thank you so much.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. We've come to the end of our show. I hope you enjoyed it. And if so, please share your opinions with me in the comment section or send me an email at publisher@immigrantmagazine.com. I hope that you subscribe and invite others to subscribe to this new and revolutionary channel, TIMTV, Voice of Immigrants in America. Be sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram @Anchang and like us on Facebook, The Immigrant Magazine. See you next time on Immigrant Magazine Weekly.